Holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fine edition of the Paranormal Portal. These are our night terrors. I think everything is good, everything's up and functioning, and we are, of course, happy to be underway here. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Thanks so much for joining us here. As always, throughout the course of the show, if you want to call in and be a part of the show, you certainly are welcome to. On the night terrors, usually on the 2-hour shows, I say wait till after the news or whatever, but it's not so important on the night terrors. If you want to call in anytime, go ahead and do that. The number for the show is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923, into the microphone, 0500. So that's the numbers to get in touch with us here. If you got something you want to share, we'd love to hear from you. So that's on the table. Of course, I've also got a co-host tonight. Turns out he's available, so I'm going to pull him in for every show I can because I think it's a lot of fun to do these shows with my eldest child, Mr. Sheldon. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Sheldon.
It's good to be back as always.
Well, it's good to have you back. Thanks again for sitting in. I think it's just a fun experience that we can do this together and share this time, share these memories with, of course, all of you out there. Thank you for all of you for being here with us. We're gonna go through. We're gonna talk about a couple different phenomena tonight, and we're going to talk about near-death experiences. I think are pretty powerful, and we're also going to talk about a little bit about reincarnation. Now, I know those are huge talks; those are huge topics, and they deserve their own shows, and we've given them their own shows in the past. But I think that just in terms of tonight, I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about both of them. Wow, is that the minion out there, Holland?
That is the minion.
You think you can go coach him about?
I sure can.
Thank you, big brother. All right, we're gonna continue on. The minion's just out in the other room, and apparently he wants to be part of the show too. No, he's actually doing a video game out in the other room, and he's getting a little squealy. So we're gonna get into all that tonight, though, and I hope you guys will enjoy that. Of course, I love these topics because I think things like near-death experiences and reincarnation stories are powerful because I think it's the big question. It's the big question we all face. It's like, well, what next? What is next? What is beyond that great barrier that faces all of us? And we've all certainly lost people we love to those that pass on, and they just continue on their journey, and we all love the idea, and maybe for some it's just a wishful thinking idea that, well, it's a romantic idea that life continues, but I think there's ample evidence to suggest that life indeed continues. I think that there's obviously a lot more going on in reality than just the idea that, hey, this is a one-time deal. You just live, be the best you can, and then it's curtains. It's over. And it seems like a lot is going on here just for it to be just some random biochemical reaction that happened to fire just right and create this enigma we call life for just to snuff out with the functioning of a physical frame. I think there's so much more to it, and I certainly believe that, and I know most of you out there do. I would believe you have to, because how could you acknowledge ghostly phenomena and even other metaphysical phenomena without acknowledging that we have a soul, and or whatever you want to call it, that continues on, and our journey is not done within these few decades of experience that we have, and then boom, it's just for nothing. So I think that these experiences definitely reinforce that idea that it does indeed continue on, that people that are having, for whatever reason, find themselves to be clinically dead. I mean, that's it. They're just no longer considered living, and still they come back with these extraordinary tales of things that they've seen and experienced when by all measures they shouldn't even be having a cognitive function. And I think that's very powerful. And then I also think it's very powerful when people, like small children, are born, but they come back with these memories of a life that they could never have known, and details of the world that they could never have known from their sheltered experience, that they know about another life that they had. They know about children. They know about families that they had. And in many cases, or in several cases that have been very carefully studied, they know that they even recognize old family members and places, and can tell stories about where they lived and how it's changed and all of that. So I think it's very powerful stuff. And we're going to dive into a little bit of that tonight. So I don't know. What do you think, Sheldon? Does that sound good?
Sounds good. I mean,
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I can. Okay.
I muted you when you got left.
I mean,
I do that to Don all the time too. So
okay. All right. Well, that's the co-host,
Yeah, it's the co-host curse. So sorry about that. I got a lot of buttons over here, and sometimes I just like clicking things.
That's right. A lot of cool buttons over here. But no, I agree. There's got to be more in. I mean, if I'm wrong, it's going to be a really disappointing end.
Well, but if we're all wrong, here's the thing. You can have a belief that something happens, and if you're wrong, you probably won't know it anyway.
It's all nothingness,
if the switch goes off, then hey, guess what? But I went into it gracefully, though, at least. So it's lights out. But hey, at least I wasn't stressing about it.
At least.
I enjoyed every second of the journey.
Yeah.
I think that living in a state of fear is never a good thing, and certainly the fear of all of this just coming to an abrupt finish, blackness, and turn out the lights, pull the curtain, it's over. I think that to me is frightening. So I like living this way. I like living with the idea that there's more. And again, I think that there's plenty of at least suggested encounters that would state that is indeed the case. Okay. All right. Hold on. We're still getting bleed through from the other room there. Yeah. Hold on. I gotta write a quick text.
That's okay.
Keep talking, Sheldon.
Yeah. So how's your night going? How's the weather outside? How's the weather up there?
Talk about your beliefs about life continuing. What do you think happens?
Well, I mean, from those experiences alone, like those stories that kids have about and in my past life, this happened. I've read those stories too, and I have to believe that they come from somewhere. They're not randomly imagining these things, because they're so precise, and especially when there's historical. There's a historical story of those things happening. It's like, how are they getting these stories then? I have to believe that it comes from somewhere.
It comes from somewhere. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to dive into that tonight. So all I can say is I hope you guys are ready, because it's probably going to be way too much for one show, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And a special birthday wish to someone out there that's having a birthday right now, and I don't know if they want to be identified or not, but I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope it's incredibly special, and thank you so much for all that you do. You're an incredible person, and just wanted to send that out to you now on the show. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right, so let's continue on. I guess all that's left is hope you're ready, because it's time for bed. Oops, I'm still muted. I muted myself that time. That's how good I am at this muting stuff.
All right.
It's a mutiny.
We're on a roll.
We are. At least I'm consistent.
Yeah, you are.
All right, so we're going to open this up with an article that we've touched on a couple of these in past shows, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to dig through these now. This is coming from, let's go up to the top so I can do this. And some of these are, this is a really cool website that deals with this near-death experience stuff. And I think Dr. Raymond Moody's associated with this, and he's an author that's wrote plenty of books about this, but it's IANDS, and it's International Association for Near-Death Studies, Inc. And they've apparently been around for 40 years, so this is not a brand new thing, but we're going to read from an article that they have, and it's 17 near-death experience accounts, and it's from Beyond the Light. This is actually a book, and if you haven't read Beyond the Light, I did read this years ago, and it was a great book. I didn't realize that these came, but Beyond the Light's originally in hardcover. It's from Birch Lane Press, New York, and we're just going to read a few of these and talk about it because I think this is incredibly interesting. And again, I've always found this absolutely fascinating because these people are not supposed to have anything going on, but they come back with all these incredible stories of their near-death experiences. Now, yeah. I think that some people say, well, that's a DMT dump. It's a dump of the function of the brain. It's dumping DMT. It's giving them this euphoric feeling because, hey, life is over. That's it. And I think it's so much more than that because there's accounts of people that have had near-death experiences that have watched them like the medical staff work on them and seen and observed things happening in the surgical room or whatever that there's no way they could observe, and even including seeing things going on in other rooms with family members and stuff, and coming back. When they come back, they're like, oh yeah, I saw that, that something fell off the table and went over there, or I saw that discussion that happened out in the waiting room, and I think those are incredibly powerful and important experiences because it's one thing to say, hey, I saw a tunnel of light and there was, insert religious figure or insert deceased relative. And those are powerful in and of themselves, but they're highly subjective. But when people have experiences where they can relate, hey, I saw that you bumped your head on the light as you're working. Are you okay? Or things like that. And that's, I'm what am I saying? I'm fabricating that. But there are plenty of stories of real accounts where people have observed things that have gone on in the operating room, and we're absolutely correct that there's no way they should have known. So let's get to this one. This is number 3 on this list, and it says, I found that both adults and children occasionally report being greeted on the other side by animals, especially if favored pets have previously died. But it is children who describe an animal heaven, some even insisting that they must go through it before they can reach the heaven where the people are. Adult cases can be equally compelling. Several years before his death, Bryce Bond, a famous New York City media personality turned parapsychologist, shared with me the story of what happened to him when he once collapsed after a violent allergic reaction to pine nuts and was rushed to a hospital. He remembered suddenly passing through a long tunnel toward a brilliant light, and then, and this is from pages 13 and 14 on the paperback version, Beyond the Light, I heard a bark, and racing towards me is a dog I once had, a black poodle named Pepe. Once I see him, I feel an emotional floodgate open. Tears fill my eyes. He jumps into my arms, licking my face as I hold him. He is real, more real than I have ever experienced him. I can smell him, feel him, hear his breathing, and sense his great joy at being with me again. I put my dog on the ground and step forward to embrace my stepfather when a very strong voice is heard in my consciousness. Not yet, it says. I screamed out, why? And then this inner voice says, what have you learned? And whom have you helped? I'm dumbfounded. The voice seems to be from without as well as from within. Everything stops for a moment. I have to think of what was asked of me. I cannot answer what I have learned, but I can answer whom I have helped. I feel the presence of my dog around me as I ponder these two questions. Then I hear barking, and other dogs appear, dogs I once had. As I stand there for what seems like an eternity, I want to embrace and be absorbed and merge, and I want to stay. The sensation of not wanting to come back is overwhelming. Bryce is also greeted by all of his relatives who had passed on before him. He experienced these loved ones as somewhat younger in form and face than when he had last seen them, healthier and happier. He remembered racing backward through the same tunnel that he'd entered when it was time to leave, and reviving in time to witness a hypodermic needle being plunged into his arm. I heard a voice say, "Welcome back." I never asked who said that, nor did I care. I was told by the doctor that I had been dead for over 10 minutes.
Wow.
Isn't that powerful?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
That's over the limit.
Well, apparently.
Well, with brain without oxygen is 7 minutes, so I guess it depends.
Sure. And there are stories of people being, like if they're immersed in like icy water, that they can be under for a very long time, and they'll go into like a hibernation state.
That's true.
And have been revived much after the normal time period when brain damage would occur. But that is an awful long time, and I think the experiences are really powerful. Now, I do think that our pets are probably around us all the time, but I think it's really neat to think that they're just there waiting, and where there is, I don't know, maybe it's subjective or figurative or whatever, but I think it's really neat,
It's part of that unknown that we're all trying to figure out and get to.
Right.
Well,
we're gonna get there.
We're not trying to get to. My bad.
We're in no hurry to get there, but we're gonna get there. Yeah, that's a little very powerful though. I think that the thing is that for the most part, these encounters seem to be really shared with this idea that the people that went before us will be there to greet us, will be there to wait for us, or to pick us up, or whatever, And I think that's beautiful because, I mean, what would put you more at ease than seeing Grandma? It's like, oh, Grandma, hey. Mm-hmm. I think also, interestingly enough, and this was an experience that I had with seeing my own grandmother after she had passed, and it was my mom's mom, and all my life I had only ever known her as having, well, oddly enough, and this is going to sound comical, but it actually looked okay. But she always had her hair done in like this purple tone. But it wasn't like a punk purple. It was like this I don't know, like just a blue hue, and it really worked because it like matched her gray to an extent, but it actually looked like, it looked stylish. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Many of you out there may know what I'm talking about when it comes to the older generation, but they would dye their hair blue, and that's all I'd ever seen her. I'd never seen her with her actual natural hair color. And even pictures that I had seen were of her when she had that hair. And when she appeared to me in the dream, and it was suddenly I was sitting in her living room and sitting on a chair, and she always had this little ottoman, and she came in the room looking like I remembered her and sat down. Now, as I was sitting there, she started becoming younger, and her face changed. The wrinkles faded, and her skin became firm and supple and young again. And her hair darkened and became longer. Now, I'd never seen my grandmother with long hair, but she became young and beautiful. And then she told me, she said, I just want you to know that I'm fine, and you can let everybody know that I'm fine and wonderful and everything is okay. And then she said, you can tell your Uncle Jim, but he won't believe you anyway. Which was right, because my Uncle Jim was, he's passed on now, but he was always not a big believer in much of anything beyond this world. I mean, he was just I don't know that he was a person of faith or ever had been, but I think it was a beautiful story. And now it was long after that, by a long time after she passed, that I was finally seeing old pictures of her. And it really made my jaw hit the floor, because I saw a young picture of her when she was in her 30s or somewhere in there, and she was young and beautiful and looked exactly like the woman that sat in front of me in my dream. Wow. And I thought that was really powerful, right? Because I had never seen that. And I had always just equated grandma with having this bobbed, style or permed hair. And it was always like this blue color. It was never brown. And it was this dark black or dark brown color. And I was just blown away because she, I had actually witnessed her turn into that in front of me. And then I saw actual pictures that's indeed what she looked like. So I thought that was really powerful. And I think that's probably the case, that people that pass, they will look the way that they feel. Now, I can tell you, being a little older, I don't feel my age. I really don't. Other than physically, the aches and pains and all that get worse with age, I still feel like the 18, 20-ish person inside. And I think that maybe that's why, is because, our souls really don't age. Our bodies do. And maybe that's why they can, just appear how they feel. And I don't know. What do you think of that, Sheldon?
I mean, the part I like is those unexplained parts. Like, how could you know what she would have looked like? Like, for the disbelievers out there that might not believe your story.
Yeah.
How could you know what she looked like when she was younger? How could your brain have comprehended that if it was something in your brain, as they may say? And I love those aspects to it, because it adds to more of that mystery to think about things and to be open. Yeah,
I think so too. I think, and for me, it was really substantial proof that that wasn't just a dream.
Yeah,
I mean, it felt like it was totally real, and it's happened several times since with other relatives that have passed, including my dad. But that was my first experience meeting someone that had shared my life after they had passed, and it was really, really amazing. It was really powerful. So
it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it was so powerful. And for me, it was just a big reminder that, grandma is okay. Everything's okay. Well, this is just a journey. We're on this journey, folks. I think so, anyway. Mm-hmm. And this isn't me trying to impress on you what to believe or what not to believe, but I definitely think there's a lot to this. Okay, let's continue. Now we're on to number 4 here. This is number 4, and it says, yet there are cases of near-death experiences like that mimic those which occur during the trauma of death itself. Ooh. One of these is the story of Julian A. Milks. I met Milks on a bumpy train ride to Long Island Sound, where I was slated to speak at a near-death study group meeting in Syosset, New York. He's a retired teacher, and he was returning that day from buying concert tickets in Times Square. Here is what he told me. This is from page 17 of the paperback version, Beyond the Light. My mom and I were driving out to the lake one afternoon. My dad was to follow later when he finished work. We were having company for dinner, and as we rode along, my mother spotted some wildflowers at the side of the road, so she asked if I wouldn't stop the car and pick them, as they would look nice on the dinner table. Well, I pulled over to the right side of the road, which is not a major highway, parked the car, and went down a small incline to get off the road to pick the flowers. While I was picking the flowers, a car came whizzing by and suddenly headed straight for me. As I looked up and saw what I presumed would be an inevitable death, I separated from my body and viewed what was happening from another perspective. My whole life flashed in front of me. From that moment backwards to segments of my life, the review was not like a judgment. It was passive, more like an interesting novelty. I can't tell you how many times I think of that near-death experience, even as I sit here and write my story for you. It seems as though it happened only yesterday. Well, Milky suffered no injury. The speeding car veered off just as suddenly as it had appeared and sped away. And I have observed that the terror of an ultimate end, the kind of terror that sees no hope, no other alternative except death itself, is sometimes enough to shift people into near-death mode. Illness, injury, or body trauma is not necessary. That's really interesting. So is that a function of shock, though? And you know a bit about shock, right?
A bit, depending on the type.
Well, I mean, so in extreme shock can kill, though, right?
Oh, it absolutely can. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't really need to have a life-threatening injury. You can be emotionally just upset enough that everything just shuts down, right?
Yep, you can.
Okay.
You can be something can frighten you so much that you can't handle it, and you die. You stop breathing. Heart stops. Yeah.
Okay, so it can actually stop your heart, just the terror, and everybody uses that
as
term.
I remember, at least.
Yeah,
it's been a while, but yes.
Right. So I wonder if that's the case when a car is careening towards you. It may just be a function of, well, that's it, and you separate and you see it, and then it's when everything's fine, then you get reeled back in like a fishing lure.
I thought that was always something terrified me about shock, though, is that you can terrify yourself so much just based on the situation that is going on that you can just die like that. Like nothing happened to you.
Right.
And yet the shock kills you in
right.
essence.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that could lead to a cardiac arrest or something, I suppose. But so, I mean, there would still be a cardiac arrest maybe on the end of it, but it's shock induced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty wild. I mean, that guy was shifted out of his experience and was standing at a different angle watching it.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been surreal. Number 5 on this list, seldom are suicide near-death scenarios hell-like. Contrary to popular notions, most suicide near-death experiences are positive, or at least illustrative of the importance of life and its living. Although I have yet to find a suicide experience that was in any way transcendent or in depth, just to have something happen, anything that affirms that he or she is loved and special, seems miracle enough for the one involved. Near-death survivors from suicide attempts can and often do return with the same sense of mission that any other experiencer of the phenomena reports. And that mission is usually to tell other people or other potential victims that is not the answer. For example, this young man, he asked not to be identified, and that's referred to pages 18 and 19 in the paperback version of Beyond the Light. Since then, suicide has never crossed my mind as a way out. It's a cop-out to me and not the way to heaven. I wish you luck in your research and hope my experience will help stop someone from taking their own life. It is a terrible waste. The suicide near-death episodes can lay to rest problems and conflicts, explain away confusions, and emphasize the need to remain embodied. I like that, remain embodied. Experiencers usually return with a feeling that suicide solves nothing, and they are notably renewed and refreshed by that feeling, using their experience, their NDE event, as a source of courage, strength, and inspiration. But not all of them are positive. Some are negative, and these can be so negative that they upset the individual more than the original problem that precipitated the attempt. This kind of devastation can be transforming if used as a catalyst to help the person make the kind of changes that comprise constructive long-term solutions. Such changes can come from an inner awakening or from the fear that what was experienced may indeed herald the individual's final fate if something is not done to turn things around. That's interesting, and I often wondered about that because I've heard about people having very negative things like that happen. That's okay. I think that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Another moderator handled it. Thank you, moderators. I think I've often wondered with that because, I think a person that is in so much pain, and if anybody listening, if you're going through a tough time, please, I always say this whenever this topic is broached on the show, get help, talk to someone, find help, because of course this is not a solution. I myself have lost people I cared a lot about to this problem, and unfortunately people are hurting just as much as they think they can hurt, and they just want it to stop. And I understand, and it seems like everything is too heavy to carry, but please just get in touch with somebody. There's plenty of services out there to help you, with incredibly compassionate, loving people that want to help you through a situation. So I just have to throw that out there because as someone who's had this touch my life, I don't want anyone else to go through it. The scars that it leaves are just so deep and hard. But I will say that I've often wondered about those experiences that people, that have had these negative experiences in their near-death experience. And I've often thought maybe it's educational. Like, it's not really foreshadowing this ultimate horrible fate, but it's maybe trying to jar the person back into a better frame of mind. Like, look, this is the state of your soul right now in this position, and you can do better, and things can get better. Things will probably get better. Just, keep going. And I think that can be powerful, but I don't pretend to know for sure whether there is such a horrible place. I don't like to think that there is, because, that's my own opinion.
Sure.
But, a lot of people do believe that there's a place where there's suffering and torment and stuff. And certainly that would be no way to spend an eternity.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I'm glad that people have those experiences. I'm glad that those experiences can be a catalyst to turn their lives around, because what a painful, horrible thing. Yeah.
I mean, I have to believe that everything happens for a reason, and it's something to learn from. Because,
sure.
For every bad thing that happens, for every good thing that happens, I have to believe it's for a reason. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Whether it's to grow, whether it's to shift your life in a better direction, whatever it may be, I have to believe personally that it has to be for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. So let's move to number 6. And this is on this list. What happened to the famous novelist Ernest Hemingway is an example of the typical brief or initial near-death experience. During World War I, Hemingway was wounded by shrapnel while fighting on the banks of the river Piave near Fossalta, Italy. He convalesced in Milan. In a letter from there to his family, he made the cryptic statement, "Dying is a very simple thing. I've looked at death, and really, I know." Years later, Hemingway explained to a friend what had occurred on that fateful night in 1918, and that's from pages 23 through 24 of the Beyond the Light book. A big Austrian trench mortar bomb, the type that used to be called ash cans, exploded in the darkness.
Oh.
I died then. I felt my soul or something coming right out of my body, like you'd pull a silk handkerchief out of a pocket by a corner. It flew around and then came back and went in again, and I wasn't dead anymore.
Wow.
Hemingway remained very deeply affected by this out-of-body initial near-death experience throughout his life, and was never again as hard-boiled as he once had been. A Farewell to Arms contains a passage where the character Frederick Henry undergoes the same confrontation with death that Hemingway did. I ate the end of my piece of cheese and took a swallow of wine. Through the other noise,
Yeah.
I heard a cough, and then came the cha-cha-cha-cha, and then there was a flash, as when a blast furnace door is swung open, and a roar that started white and went red, and on in a rushing wind. I tried to breathe, but my breath would not come, and I felt myself rush bodily out of myself, and out and out and out, and all the time bodily in the wind. I went out swiftly, all of myself, and I knew I was dead, and that it had all been a mistake to think you just died. Then I floated, and instead of going on, I felt myself slide back. I breathed, and I was back. Wow.
Wow.
That's incredible. Jeez.
Those out-of-body experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that, I guess it would be an out-of-body experience because
Yeah.
the soul left the body. But, I think most often out-of-body experiences and NDEs are not really the same thing. I think that out-of-body experiences, well, it's been explained to me by a few people what they believe. And they talk about us having an astral body and then a soul body. And
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah, and so the astral body is what goes out of body and does, things when people project. But the soul body, or whatever term is used, is a little bit different, but maybe the same. It's like a wrapping. Like the soul body is your true self, and then the astral body is a wrapping of it, or something. I don't know. It's hard to...
Like a projection of it, a representation.
Yeah, maybe that's the best way to put it. Yeah, that might be the best way to state it. It's like a representation of, or a projection of the soul body. But yeah,
Right.
very cool. All right, number 7. What happened to John R. Leona of Brooklyn, New York is also typical of the initial experience. Pages 24 through 27 in the paperback version of Beyond the Light. They always put the page markers in here. Mine was a difficult birth, according to my mom. She said that she didn't hear me cry after I was born because I was a blue baby. They did not bring me to her for 2 days. My face was black and blue, and she said the skin was all cut up on the right side of my face, and that's where the forceps slipped. Yeah, they used to grab babies by the head by these big forceps and kind of pull them out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it could be really brutal.
That sounds pretty brutal. I hope, was I born that way?
No, you
They just yanked me out?
No, you were all set to go. You were like, let's get going.
Sounds about right. My enthusiasm.
Popped out like an NFL football in the line.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. It was a normal childbirth, but no, we didn't have to yank you out. You were ready to go, I guess. So
Say it, explain a few things.
it's a whole nother show, I'm sure.
Oh, we're having fun.
Absolutely. It says that's where the forceps slipped. I was given a tracheotomy to help me breathe. I'm totally deaf in my right ear. Also, the right side of my face and head is less sensitive than the left. When I get tired, the right side of my face droops a little, like Bell's palsy. I am 40 years old now. All my life going back to my childhood, I can remember having the same reoccurring dream. It's more vivid than any other dream. It starts at and ends the same. I'm kneeling down and bend over, frantically trying to untie some kind of knots. They almost seem alive, and I'm pulling on them, and they are thick and slippery, and I'm very upset, pulling and snapping, and I can't see what they're made of. I remember getting hit in the face while trying to untie or break free of the knots and wake up crying. Then I go back to sleep thinking it was only a dream or a nightmare, and when the dream would happen again on another night, I would sleep through it longer as I began to get used to it. After I'm able to sleep through the knotty part, suddenly my struggling stops. I feel like a puppet with all the strings cut. My body goes limp. All the stress and struggle is drained right out of me. I feel very calm and peaceful, but wonder what caused me to lose interest in the knots. They were important 1 minute, and the next minute I'm floating in this big, bright light. I know I can't touch the ground because there is light there too. I look at the light and try to move towards it, but I can't, and this upsets me. There's a woman in a long flowing gown floating away to my left. I call to her, but the light is so bright, sound does not travel through it. I want to talk to the woman, but my dream ends there. About a year ago, I walk out of my house to go to work, and the ground is wet from rain, yet I find this book lying there, dry. No one is around, so I pick it up. The book is called Closer to the Light by Melvin Morris, M.D., and Paul Perry. It's on the near-death experiences of children. That night, I start reading it, and I cannot put it down. For the first time in my life, I now understand my dream. These knots were when I struggled in the womb with the umbilical cord. Getting hit in the face is when the doctor grabbed me with the forceps, and then I died. After that, I went into the light. But wait a second, you're not supposed to remember being born. We don't just sit around at parties and talk about what we remember of our birth. We only talk about what our parents tell us. I look forward to having the dream again, and I'm now ready to experience more of it than before, and without being upset. It can be argued that since Leona's birth was so intensely traumatic, his repetitive dream may be more of the trauma's replay than any memory of a near-death experience. And that argument carries considerable weight, as pre-birth awareness is commonly reported and often verified. For instance, David Cheek, past president of the American Society for Clinical Hypnosis and a retired obstetrician, believes that humans are remarkably capable while still in the womb. He's quoted as saying babies are at least somewhat aware of the moment their mothers become aware of their pregnancy. Oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
Yet this superstition does not take into account the woman in the long flowing gown who is also part of Leona's dream sequence. The antiseptic uniforms of attending physicians and medical personnel do not explain away this gossamer figure, nor does the idea of mental replay account for how these images have haunted him. Neither does it explain why, since earliest childhood, he has displayed the typical after effects of a near-death survivor. What are we seeing here? And why I have used Leona's case as an example of the initial experience is that current near-death research has shown that more and more children are being discovered who remember having had a near-death experience either before, during, or after the moment of birth. This memory usually remains vivid in children's minds, either from repeated storytelling after they learn how to talk, or because of repetitious imagery that intrudes upon their dream life, as in the case of John R. Leona. By the way, I have found that interviewing children can be surprising, as it is revelatory, for children seem to be able to hear potential conversations while still in the womb, and can repeat what was heard once they are old enough to talk, with embarrassing exactness. Oh, wow. Now that's really phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like literally.
It literally is, yeah. I mean, it's like it's a physical memory and also like a spiritual memory all wrapped in one. It seems
right.
like the recurring dream makes me think that he's still trying to process it, some part of him.
Right.
And I mean, it seemed like he was anyway, but that's a great story. Wow.
And it really is powerful, yeah. I think that's funny. And Rick, Purple Hobbit, in the chat says, Paranormal Portal. Want to see a version of hell? It's called L.A. That could be. I've been to L.A. before. I was kind of just through L.A. I really didn't get a chance to sightsee and all that stuff. But, I mean, it was a busy town. I'll say that from what I saw. It was either traffic or meeting rooms, but that was about it. Yeah, I know they've got a lot of trouble there. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think I'll be stopping there after I'm done here.
No, you're not gonna take a quick trip down to LA.
Yeah, I would. I just don't have the time, you know.
Yeah, it's probably best just head east, young man. Head east.
We'll just head east. Yeah.
No, I don't mean to imply that my beliefs are right or wrong or whatever. All I can tell you guys is that the portal has always been a discussion, and it's where I share my thoughts, and of course you guys share yours when you choose to participate, and I love hearing them, but I just think these NDEs are really, really powerful. I think this is an incredibly powerful topic, and actually, God, we're not really even going to get to the reincarnation stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Because we've still got more of the NDE stuff to get through.
Yep.
You can see why I love this book, though. I read this book from Beyond the Light. And if you're into this kind of stuff, if you're interested in it, I can only recommend, get some of these books and read them, because I think that they're absolutely powerful powerful reminders or examples of there being so much more going on here. I think it's really incredible. This is number 8 from that same article, and it says the following story from Jean, or is it John? I don't know. L. Epley of Columbus, Ohio. I'm sorry if I'm brutalizing your name, if you happen to be listening, but I think it's Gene.
That's what I would guess.
Okay, good.
That'd be my guess too. Yeah.
All right, it's Gene Epley of Columbus, Ohio. May seem like another rendering of an initial near-death experience to you. Elements are few, and it is brief, as are the others I wrote about previously, but it is different. Unpleasant, pages 30 through 32 in the paperback version of Beyond the Light. My experience happened during the birth of my first child. For many years, I blamed it on the anesthetic. I had 3 more children without pain because I believed that if there wasn't any pain, I wouldn't have to have anesthetics that caused experiences like this. Living proof of mind over matter, right? What happened was this. Everything was bright yellow. There was a tiny black dot in the center of all the yellow. Somehow I knew that that dot was me. The dot began to divide. First there was 2, then 4, and then 8. After there had been enough division, the dots formed into a pinwheel and began to spin. As the pinwheel spun, the dots began to rejoin in the same manner as they had divided. I knew that when they were all one again, I would be dead. So I began to fight. The next thing I remember is the doctor trying to awaken me and keep me on the delivery table because I was getting up. When my daughter was born, her head was flattened from her forehead to a point in back. Wow. They told me that she had lodged against my pelvic bone, but the doctor had already delivered 2 others that night and was in a hurry to get home. Oh, no. He took her with forceps, and I've often wondered if my experience was actually hers instead. Although distressing to her, Epley had this to say about her experience. I survived and became very strong. Before it happened, I was a very weak person who had depended on others all my life. It constantly amazes me that people talk about how much they admire my strength. I developed a lot of character having lived this life and raising 4 children alone, and I can honestly say that I like and respect myself now. I did not when this near-death experience happened. I believe maybe it was sent to show me that I could be strong. I certainly needed strength in the years that came after. And she expressed disappointment that her case did not match all the wonderful stories other near-death survivors tell. A fellow experiencer suggested that maybe the reason for this was her refusal to let go and surrender to the experience, that the battle she had waged so fiercely may have blocked any further development of an uplifting scenario. This idea is not so far-fetched, since recent research suggests that surrender may indeed be the factor that determines not only the depth of the experience, but who might possibly have one to begin with, i.e., people who refuse to relinquish the power of their will seldom report the phenomena. Oh, maybe that's interesting. I think probably I would never experience it then either. I don't know. Anytime I feel like I'm slipping, like in the few times when I've lost conscious, I'm like fiercely trying to fight it. But maybe that's everybody. Maybe it's not just me.
Might be a normal reaction.
Might be, yeah. Yet, if you explore Epley's life before and after her experience, a startling pattern emerges. This disappointing experience presaged 2 disappointing marriages and the birth of 3 more children, verbal and physical abuse, an attempt on her life, plus the ordeal of raising her family without support. The battle fear generated in her near-death episode was the first time she had ever stood up for herself. By her admission, the strength she gained from that fight enabled her to call upon deep reservoirs of power she never knew she had. Thus, winning one battle gave her the courage to win many. She has since remarried and is now a radiantly happy woman. What was originally fearsome turned out to be a godsend. Epley's case is an example of why I challenge the surrender theory. Yes, research is persuasive on the issue. It does appear that people who fight the experience seldom have much of an experience, if any, but still, there is a question worthy of asking here, and that question is, would Epley have benefited as much as she did had her scenario been sweetly angelic? No one can say, of course, but the question is a valid one. For in asking if we broaden the base of our inquiry from concentrating on the event alone to an equal consideration of the one who experienced the event. That was a really wordy sentence.
It was. It really was.
I got to admit, I kind of got lost as I was reading. I was like, who, what? What's going on?
Okay, it wasn't just me.
No, it was me too. But I'm sure it was wise and profound.
Yes.
All the same. So very interesting, though. Very, very interesting. My God. You know what I forgot to do?
What's that?
Because this is the first night terrors since we've been back.
Yeah.
And I forgot to do a search for some kind of trail cam terror. So I better do that.
All right.
I better do that, folks.
Let's get to it.
We're not going to get a chance to get into any of the reincarnation stuff, but let me just see if we can find something interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, please do.
I've just been slammed. What?
I agree with Jordan's statement.
What did Jordan say?
I'm surviving the fight to. I'm surviving the fight to the corner store to get ice cream. I'm strong, wise, and profound.
And you will be enriched by that fight. Don't give up. You deserve that ice cream. And it will help to shape
it.
you. We actually got a call here. Let's get to this. This is MCAT.
Oh, nice.
All right, MCAT, I see your call. Thank you for calling in, brother. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, Just somewhere in Nebraska, driving through the night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, MCAT is not only a paranormal investigator and a great friend of the show, longtime friend of the Portal, but he's also a man that drives all over the nation as a long haul trucker. So,
Wow.
yeah, how's the road treating you tonight?
Pretty good. Clear skies, so don't have anything crazy to drive through. But just had a couple of stories from home.
Oh, please.
About a couple of weeks ago, I was home for a week because we got a new dog. So I wanted to be home a week to help get her trained up.
Uh-huh.
And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I noticed that there was this person who was kneeling next to me in bed. It was like a shadow.
Ooh.
But it had these big yellow cat eyes.
Oh, no.
And it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, hey. And boom, gone.
Wow.
Jeez. Oof. That's creepy.
Yeah, that was something. I was like, okay, interesting.
See,
And then just a couple of nights ago, I can hear, we can hear things, she hear things, and I'll hear things, and it's not much more than that. It's just hearing things. But I had the dog on one side and the cat on the other, and I was putting laundry away, and I heard somebody walk behind me behind the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was my wife, and I looked back on the bed, and she's still on the bed in the bedroom.
Oh.
And I'm like, huh,
Oh, no.
okay.
Those are creepy stories, man. It's weird when that mimicking happens. That's really strange.
Yeah, that is weird. Hard to know one from the other.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey, what do you need? Like, oh, nobody's here. Okay.
Yeah, that'll reset your heart a little bit, huh?
That'll wake you up.
That'll put a crease in your jeans.
Crease in your jeans. I like that.
I've not heard that one either. That's a new one to me, MCAT. Thanks. Thanks for that. Wow. So have you done any more investigating at all, or have you just been real busy?
Just too busy.
Oh.
Too busy because summer and this shipper that we're working out of has got more work than we know what to do with. So it's just, hey, when are you available next? Hey, when are you available? Hey, I got a load for you. You ready?
Oh, wow. Well, that's
yes, sir. Let's go back to work.
that's job security, I guess. But I'm sure glad you're doing what you do because you're keeping things running, brother.
It's true.
So
that is the job.
So what do you think that thing could have been? I mean, so you're an experienced researcher, and what do you think was going on? Do you have any theories about what happened?
I've never seen. I've seen shadow people before, but not like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting with the glowing eyes. So I'm not quite sure what that thing is.
But it was a one-off event and nothing since.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. It's the only time I've seen anything in the house. Like, we hear a lot of noises. But that's the first time I ever saw anything. Wow. And I was like, okay, it's introduction day. Let's play Get to Know You.
Did you then play Sage the House?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh.
I kind of want to see where it goes.
Yeah, I can understand, and sometimes those, I think those are maybe more common in those one-off events than people might think. I think generally people think, well, that house is just haunted, or that house is not haunted. But I think there's things that just kind of wander through, for lack of a better term, and they just make an appearance and then they go do their thing and wander back out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few transients, especially when they just hitchhike or ride in the truck for a while and then they leave.
Yeah, see, that's bizarre. I remember you told me that story. You called in and shared that story of that shadow apparition, and at that rest stop or the filling station or whatever. I'm still blown away by that. That's just so creepy.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things out there. I suppose there are worse things to run into, but
That's true. That's very true.
That's very true. Yeah.
MCAT, how far apart were these two events?
Probably a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty close together.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. It could be the same thing still hanging around. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Wow.
Could be.
Well,
Well, stay safe out there. Jeez.
keep us posted.
Oh yeah.
Keep us posted. I want to hear how this develops, but that sounds kind of intense, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. I'll have to ask Deb about it next time she's on.
Oh yeah. I haven't gotten in touch with her, but I'll have to put together another Deb show in the near future, because I know it's always great when she comes on, and it's always fun to hear her work. So, and it also makes my job really easy. I love those nights.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, you just got to keep the calls moving, and
Yep.
she does the rest.
I just go full receptionist and let her do her thing. So, but awesome to hear from you, brother. Thanks for calling in, man. It's great to hear from you.
Hey, you betcha, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and the world will keep going around, I guess. So, good to hear from you, man. Take care, and I will talk to you later.
All right, brother. Drive safe.
Nice to meet you, MCAT.
All right, you too, man. Hey, nice to meet you too, guy.
All right. Good night. That's cool. That's MCAT. It's always fun when he calls in.
Wow.
He has some of the greatest experiences. Just the most bizarre things happen. But I really believe that long haul truckers see everything. They see all that's out there.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, at least, they're probably, it's the law of averages, right? Like if you're in a specific place long enough, something weird will happen. But for long haul truckers, they are covering so much distance that I think they get exposed to a lot more weird. I can only imagine the amount of stories that are out there that truckers have experienced that they've never told anybody, because I don't think it's something you want to talk about too much, because, when you're a licensed commercial driver, the last thing you want to say is, hey, I saw this walking kitten, or something.
No.
That you'll be starting to pee in the cup and stuff every once in a while to make sure you're okay for the next load. But I think that, they definitely experience a lot more than they say.
I mean, I like what Rachel says too. She says it's like different types of entities coming in from another plane, kind of like birds flocking to a bird feeder, attracted Ed to human energy.
Yep, attracted. I think it's
Oh.
attracted. It just gave her a space there. Oops. That's okay. You did good. But I think she's right. I like Rachel's comments, because she's always coming from a good place and brings some really interesting stuff to the table. But yeah, I think that's true. That's a good point. There are different entities. There isn't just ghosts and people. There are many, many things that we perceive as spiritual beings, but they may be an entire catalog of different things out there. And I think that's probably the case. And I think it may have something to do with frequency, for lack of a better term. Like there's lower vibrational things and there's higher vibrational things, and there's things in between, and they're not all the same thing. They're just different things.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great point, Rachel. Thank you for sharing that.
Sorry.
Go.
One more comment.
Yeah.
Digger Dog also brought up another good point. That you said he's an investigator, right? Paranormal investigator?
MCAT is, yeah.
Yeah, MCAT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's probably got to be careful that nothing's following him home from where he's investigating too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's been active for a long time, but I know that he's always, he's got a long history of having investigated. And I think I think maybe that oftentimes we talk about psychic people being beacons for spiritual entities, and I think that maybe investigators become beacons as well, because I think by just repeated exposure to the spiritual and supernatural, that it does change you in a sense, and maybe it changes your vibration, or it changes how you're perceived spiritually by other things, and maybe by virtue of having your eyes open to all these possibilities, maybe that attracts them. I don't know.
I could.
It's an interesting thought, but anyway, I don't know, but it's very cool. I love it when you guys call in and take part in the show, and when you share experiences like that. I think the whole yellow eyes thing reminds me of the Supernatural show.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Too late.
Oh,
yeah, Supernatural. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you're not a Supernatural fan, then you won't know what I'm referencing. But there's a yellow-eyed demon that is continuous through the storyline, through the theme of the show. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Yellow eyes.
It's actually a good show if you haven't seen it too.
It's entertaining. It's like Scooby-Doo for adults, but it's great Scooby-Doo. I love Supernatural, but I wouldn't rely on it for paranormal knowledge, because a lot of the stuff on there is absolute fantasy, but it's a fun show.
It is.
I love the Winchester Brothers. That's all I'm going to say. They had a great car and had great music.
That's right.
I don't know. If you haven't seen it, it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch.
If you're bored this summer and want something to watch, hey,
if you've got
you
got a few weeks to binge on something, because there's a lot of seasons.
There are,
yeah, but they just wrapped it up recently with apparently their final episodes.
That's right.
So, did you watch it all the way through yet?
Not all the way through.
Okay, I won't give you any spoilers then.
No,
okay,
please don't.
I'm not gonna do anything. Not even gonna mention it again.
All right.
But did you know at the end? Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when Dean. No, never mind.
No.
I'm just the wrecker. I'm just the wrecking ball, ladies and gentlemen. It's what I do. I'm the wrecker. All right, folks, we're going to go to our last segment of the show. This is the Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, welcome to the Trail Cam Terrors. This is a segment of the show where we show at least what's claimed to be paranormal activity and that are captured on camera. Usually trail cams. We've covered a bunch of those in the past, but kind of ran out of trail cam stuff to cover. So we're going to cover some more Ring doorbell stuff. Here's a article that I found. It's from newsflare.com, and it was from the 10th of April of 2018, and it shows a video that apparently was from a Ring doorbell. The substance is that apparently a ghost whispers, "I'll kill you," at 40 seconds, and then clicks the door handle.
Yikes. Okay.
That's kind of creepy, right?
Alrighty.
I mean, that's not the kind of thing you want happening on your Ring doorbell.
No, please don't.
I think that's the video. Yeah, I don't think I can make it any bigger than that. So
No.
This looks like as big as I can make it, folks. But here we go. We're gonna have a listen. Make sure it's 1 minute and 6 seconds long. And again, it's from newsflare.com, and it's a ghost caught on Ring says, "I'll kill you" is the name of the article. So let's have a listen. Put on your listening ears. Takes a while. Okay, I didn't hear it. Did you?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I actually did.
Where was it? About the...
It was where they, it was where they housed.
Okay, let's read the article. It says, my wife and I first received a notification that our doorbell was rung in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. We didn't see the notification until morning, but we're unable to view the video because we didn't pay for the Ring service. I immediately subscribed to the Ring service to be able to watch watch future recorded videos. The very next night, the motion sensor on the Ring doorbell was set off by something. We reviewed the video and witnessed an orb floating in front of the door. I did see that.
Yeah.
Kind of off to the side, something at least. This continued every few days for a few weeks, and I would share the videos with friends and family. After posting this video, a viewer commented that there was a sinister voice at the 47-second mark. It frightened ourselves, friends, and family, and since this video, we've stopped reviewing all videos that set off our motion detector in the middle of the night, and we have had friends pray over our home, sage burned, and have been advised to sell our home because our family is in danger. What we thought may have been a friendly ghost or spirit lurking around our home revealed itself to be something more sinister. Periodically, I'll check the middle of the night videos to see if it's still lurking around. The most recent sighting was March 2019, and in the video you hear the spirit knock on the door as it floats in front of the camera.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to try that again.
Yeah.
How do I I'll play a video again. Okay.
Yeah.
So it said 47 seconds, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's look. I'm going to go right to that point. I'm going to really jack up the volume here. Oh God, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
That was pretty creepy. Let's hear that again. Let's go back to the 46-second mark. Try it again. Oof.
The hard part about it is that the audio it's muffled and it keeps cutting in and out.
Yeah, but it does sound like that's what it's saying.
It is pretty obvious though.
Yeah. Now that I hear it, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awful.
Just
Yikes.
a tad.
There you have it, folks. So that's tonight's Trail Cam Terror. It's pretty terrible. That's not what you like whispered into your doorbell, that's for sure. But take it or leave it. Could it be a function of just an audio anomaly? Sure. It's not like, in regular voice, but it does sound like a whispery voice saying that, and that is plenty creepy.
Yeah.
That's horrible. So this has been tonight's Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here and taking the journey with us. Of course, it's always an amazing pleasure to do these shows. It's always an amazing pleasure that so many of you guys show up and are regularly here with us. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow nights. I believe Mr. Longbeard will be joining me, and we'll do the 2-hour Friday show as usual. So hope you'll come in and be a part of that. So just know, Sheldon, anything in closing?
Nothing from me. Other than I guess that Don will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come in.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will. You
Yes.
can't keep the Longbeard away for too long.
Of course.
Absolutely not. So hopefully Don will be here with me. But in any case, it's been a real pleasure doing these shows with you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll continue it as much as we can while you're still present.
While I'm here.
While you're present. But anyway, folks, that's going to wrap it up for us. I hope you had a great time. Please have a wonderful day tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Enjoy the hell out of it and get ready for an epic weekend because, well, you deserve it. And remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Cue the credits.